Hello, Virgo. There is a plan, not yours, theirs. And they have not told you about it. They are not going to tell you about it. The entire point of the plan is that you do not see it coming, that you are caught off guard, that whatever defenses or distance or hard earned clarity you have built around yourself since things went the way they went between you is still in place when they arrive, so that what they are hoping for has the best possible chance of working. They are banking on surprise. I am here to take that away from them. Let me tell you what I know. This person has been watching, not in the dramatic, intrusive sense, in the quiet, deliberate sense of someone who pulled back from direct contact but never actually pulled back their attention, who created distance physically or through communication while maintaining a completely different kind of closeness in private. Who knows more about what is happening in your life right now than you would be comfortable with if you knew they knew? They have been watching your life from the outside, and what they have been watching has been doing something to them, something they did not plan for when they made whatever choice created the distance between you, something that has been building quietly and persistently in the background of their daily life, regardless of what else they have been doing or who else they have been around or how convincingly they have performed, moving on to the people around them. They have not moved on. That is the first thing I need you to know. Here is the second thing. They decided, not recently. This decision was made before you would think it was made. There was a specific moment, a specific day, maybe a specific thing they saw or heard or encountered that broke through whatever they had been using to keep themselves at a manageable distance from the full truth of what they feel. And in that moment, something shifted from maybe to yes, from I should probably leave this alone to I cannot leave this alone, from thinking about reaching out to actually planning it. The plan is not impulsive. That is what I want you to understand. This is not someone who woke up one morning feeling nostalgic and picked up their phone before they thought it through. This is someone who has been thinking it through for a significant amount of time, who has been running the conversation in their head, considering the timing, thinking about where and how and under what circumstances the approach would land best. They are not rushing, they are preparing, and the preparation is nearly complete. Now, let me tell you why. Not the surface why, not the version they would tell you if they were being politely honest. The real why, the one that lives underneath the explanation they have been rehearsing. They realized something. It arrived the way realizations arrive when they have been resisted long enough, not as a gradual dawning, as a sudden, undeniable, landed with full weight understanding that cracked through the resistance they had built and sat there demanding to be acknowledged. They realized what they had and what they did with it, and the gap between those two things has been impossible to live with comfortably since the moment it became clear. You were not easy to replace. They tried the ordinary things people try. They stayed busy. They redirected their attention. They let time do what time is supposed to do. And time did do something. It did its work. But the work it did was not the work they were hoping for. Instead of fading, things clarified. Instead of you becoming less present in their internal world, you became more specific, more vivid. more accurately understood than you were when you were actually in front of them. Because absence does something to perception. It removes the noise of daily dynamic and leaves only what was actually real. And what was actually real between you was considerable. They know that now. In the specific bone level, no longer deniable way that people know things when they have finally stopped arguing with them. Do you feel this already? Has something been stirring in you recently without an obvious external cause? Have you thought about this person with a frequency or a clarity that surprised you? A dream, maybe? Or just a sudden vivid presence of them in your mind in the middle of something completely unrelated? That is not coincidence. That is connection doing what connection does when it has not been properly closed, when both people are still somewhere in each other's field, even when the surface of things suggests otherwise. Tell me in the comments one word for what comes up in you when you think about this person showing up, not what you think you should feel, what you actually feel in the first unguarded second before you decide what to do with it. Because that first second is the truth. Everything after it is management. Let me tell you what they expect to find when they show up. They expect to find you the way you were, or closer to the way you were than to who you actually are now. Because that is what people who have been watching from a distance tend to miscalculate. They update the external information, but they do not always account for the internal transformation. They see the surface of your life, but they do not fully register how much the person living that life has changed underneath the surface. They are expecting a version of you that no longer exists. The version that needed something from them, the version that had spaces they could fill, gaps they could step into, places where their presence would land as relief rather than as something to be evaluated carefully. That version is gone. Not because you are hardened or closed or have decided that protecting yourself matters more than being open, but because you grew into the spaces, you filled the gaps yourself. You found, through the specific unglamorous work of continuing to live your life fully without them in it, that you are more complete than you understood yourself to be when they were still around. They are walking towards someone who has done significant work in their absence, and they do not know that yet. Here is what they will actually find: someone standing in their own ground, not waiting, not diminished, not quietly hoping that something would come along to complete what felt incomplete. Someone who made peace not in the passive, resigned sense of giving up on something, but in the active, genuine sense of arriving somewhere real. You have been building something. In the time they have been watching from a distance and planning their approach and rehearsing what they want to say, you have been building something in yourself that cannot be seen from the outside, but that is immediately, unmistakably present when you are in the room. A kind of settledness, a relationship with yourself that does not need external confirmation to hold its shape. And when they arrive and encounter this version of you rather than the version they were preparing for, everything they planned shifts. Because you cannot execute a plan designed for someone who no longer exists. The whole thing has to be recalibrated in real time. And that recalibration, that moment of encountering the person you have actually become rather than the person they remembered, is going to move them in ways they did not account for. More than the original feeling, not less. I want to talk about what they are going to say, not the exact words, the shape of it. There will be an opener, something that creates context for the contact, a reason for reaching out that sounds plausible on the surface and that gives both of you somewhere to stand while the real thing is being approached. A casual framing for something that is not casual at all. Watch for that. Not cynically, not with your arms crossed, waiting to catch them in the performance of it, but with the specific, clear eyed awareness of someone who knows what is actually happening underneath the surface of what is being said. The opener is not the message. The message is what comes after you respond. After the ice is broken and the surface excuse for contact has done its work, after they have felt whether the door is open enough for what they actually came to say. That is where the real conversation begins. And you will feel the shift when it happens from the opener to the real thing, like a change in pressure, like someone who was speaking carefully, suddenly, speaking honestly. When that shift happens, listen completely. Not to what you wish they were saying, not to the version that confirms the best case outcome you have been quietly carrying, to what is actually being said. The real words from the real person standing in front of you with all of their genuine feeling and all of their genuine limitation and all of the complicated truth of someone who made choices and is now living with those choices and wants something different. Listen to all of it, the beautiful parts and the parts that still need work. Both will be present. Now, I need to say something that might be the most important thing in this reading. You are not obligated. Their plan, however sincere, however well constructed, however much genuine feeling sits behind it, does not create an obligation on your part. Their readiness is not automatically your readiness. Their timing is not automatically the right timing. The work they have done in private does not cancel the accounting of what actually happened between you. You get to decide, not from a place of punishment, not from a place of withholding something to make a point, from a place of genuine self knowledge, from the grounded, honest, fully informed position of someone who knows what they need and knows what they will and will not accept, and knows the difference between someone who has genuinely grown and someone who has simply grown tired of not having you. That difference is everything, and your discernment is sharp enough to find it. Trust it. Not the part of you that wants to believe the best because the best would be easier to feel. The part of you that actually sees clearly, that has always seen clearly, that saw clearly even before and told you things you did not want to hear at the time and turned out to be right. Let that part lead. One thing that I feel strongly needs to be said before we close: do not let the surprise be the thing that decides for you, because the plan they have been building counts on the surprise doing some of the work, counts on you being caught off guard enough that your response is more emotional than considered, more reactive than intentional, that the unexpectedness of the contact creates a temporary suspension of the judgment you have developed. You know this now. So the surprise has been neutralized. What remains is the actual question, which is not whether they come back. They are coming. The question is what you do with the choice that creates from a clear head, from a full heart, from the version of yourself that has been quietly becoming more complete in their absence. That version of you makes a good decision, whatever it is, because it will be made from wholeness rather than from the hole that used to be where they were. There is no hole anymore. You filled it yourself. And anyone who wants to be part of your life from this point forward needs to understand that they are not filling anything. They are adding to something already complete. That is a completely different offer. Make sure they know it. Make sure you know it first. Drop something in the comments. Tell me if you already felt this coming. Tell me if there has been something in the last few weeks that felt like a signal you did not know how to read. Tell me the one thing that landed hardest in this reading, because your words here matter to me, to the stranger who reads them tomorrow and finds the one sentence they needed. Until next time, Virgo, they have a plan. Now, so do you. And yours is better because yours starts from knowing exactly who you are and exactly what you deserve. Theirs starts from hoping you forgot. You have not forgotten. You never do.